Thank you, everyone. You may be seated. Court is now in order. Thank you all for being here today. Today we'll call the case of the NCAA men's basketball, NCAAB-20-21. Oh, it's the people versus the line sitters. Welcome to the courthouse today, people. This is fun stuff. I am here today to be your judge. And of course, if you've been following my betting blog, you know why we're here today. We're discussing college hoops. Not too many places you can go where you can have someone discussing the NIT, the NCAA, CBI, and CIT tournaments all in one spot. That's why I'm here for you today, so let's talk about what's happening. Of course, my opening statement. Well, for the next 2 days, college basketball postseason tournaments will be crowning 4 champions. 4 champions. So everyone's talking about what motivation everyone has here. Of course, motivation's been a word everyone's been listening to in all 4 of the tournaments. What's everyone's motivation to be here? Winning a title is what your motivation is to be here. It doesn't make a difference if you're not in the big tournament. Where you are now, with all these, where everyone's in the quarterfinals, semifinals of all these tournaments, now you get to the point where you really want to win. And I get it. But that's why we're here. We're going to discuss it. So let's go. All right, today, the courts will set you up for what's on deck tonight, what we saw last night, and what you can expect going forward here. So let's get started, everybody. Hey, NIT. Second round of the tournament wrapped up last night, and if you caught any of those games, boy, Stanford traveled to Oklahoma State, Stillwater, and boy, neither team really came out shooting lights out. Of course, Stanford was in foul trouble all night. It's pretty tough to keep pace when you don't have the guys out there that you really want. Of course, Stanford got in trouble. And Oklahoma State came away with a 6-point win. They were favored with what, 8-point line, so everybody who took Stanford got that cover. Of course, that 155 was a little too high. And if you were on my betting blog, you saw we cashed that under, and that was a big bet. Thank you. So, we got to watch out for Mitchell Solomon. If anyone caught the Mitchell Solomon, you see he just simply fouled out of that game. He didn't just simply foul out of that game. When he came down, he came out of that game. Even after the commercial break, a minute and a half, he was still making his way back to the bench. They had ice on him. Watch for Mitchell Solomon, because if he doesn't go for Oklahoma State in that next game in the quarterfinals, they're in trouble. He's a big part of their offense, big guy in the middle, and with the new rules in the NIT and the paint and all that stuff, that he is one of those guys that's certainly going to benefit from these new rules. So check on Mitchell Solomon, make sure he's going on Wednesday, because that's a big loss for them if he does not go. Of course, LSU played the Utes in Salt Lake City last night. That did not go well. That did not go well for anyone wearing an LSU uniform last night. They got down early, and it stayed that way. It just got uglier and uglier as the night went on. Of course, Utah rolled all over them. Utes put up a season-high 95 points, and let me tell you what, all 5 starters in double digits. Pretty impressive 95-71 win. It looks as impressive on paper as it does when you watch the game. And Utah certainly handled their business. They're shooting from everywhere. Everything they threw up there just seemed to fall in. Of course, having that home crowd helps them a lot. We know that. That helps everybody a lot. We'll talk about that soon. Of course, Utah taking out the 1 seed and the 3 seed. Pretty nice. Of course, St. Mary's, 30th win. School record for them last night. And, Washington certainly looked like they were out of that game all night. To see that game actually come down to a 4-point game, on paper, it looks better than it was. St. Mary's had control of that game for most of the night, if you look at it quarter by quarter. And it's pretty strange to be talking about quarter by quarter. Still not used to that yet. I don't know how that's really going to work out for everybody, these new rules and how they're going to adapt them. It's weird, very weird. They're trying to make an internet. They have an international three-point line. They have an NBA paint now. But yet it's the college game, and they're trying to adjust the college game to the international game and the NBA game, and they're mixing it all together. I don't understand. We'll see if it all works out. Of course, next year, after next year's NIT, they're going to decide if it's something worth going forward. We'll talk about that again next year, right? All right, anyway, St. Mary's 30th win last night. School record, pretty tremendous. Regardless, another Pac-12 team out. And of course, right after Washington went down, USC went down to Western Kentucky at home. More debate about why the Pac-12 got any bids in any tournament this year. Yes, down season for the Pac-12 this year. And a lot of people say, is it really a down season for the Pac-12? Or is it just the teams are really good? What is it, parity? Parity is a word that we've been using for years now, and it's really starting to show its head now. Look, teams in these lower conferences are, when you have experience on those teams, it's about experience. It's about what you've been through. And you can look at the Illinois-Chicago stuff. Loyola Chicago. It's not just about St. Jean. And that's a phenomenal story. St. Jean can sit there in her wheelchair and pray to God all she wants. We all know in the long run, the better team's going to win the basketball game. The divine intervention is going to work so much. Love what they're doing, though. Everyone loves the Sweet 16 stuff. I mean, hey, got my Bible right here. I swear on the Bible, that's pretty impressive stuff. It is. So, all right. Anyway, now USC's out too, Western Kentucky. Anyway, so that's going to be, those lines will become available as those games will get all lined up here. We don't have lines for those yet, but of course tonight, Penn State takes on Marquette at, Harris Bradley Center. And Milwaukee, Wisconsin's the place. And let me tell you what, first two of the games that send someone to the first semifinal at MSG. And that's right here in New York City, and I will have some news about that as we go forward. Meanwhile, Mississippi State taking on the Cardinals in Louisville, and Louisville opened up as a 5.5-point chalk. And they'll continue to enjoy that home cooking now because, Miss State took out number 1 seed Baylor. And but what Baylor was doing as a 1 seed to begin with, I really didn't understand. And now they're out too. The Big 12 and the Pac-12 both have a lot of questions to answer in the in the off season this year. Bad years, down years for both of those leagues. And anyway, so if you follow my betting blog, you saw I had Mississippi State on the board to cover that 6. They didn't bother covering the 6. They won it outright, and we love that. When your dog wins outright, you did a good thing. You got to be thinking dog, kids. Love it. So, of course, Cardinals will thank the Bulldogs tonight. And how will they thank the Bulldogs tonight for giving them home field advantage now? Yeah. Let's open the case file. Both teams have rebounding issues. Period. Both teams. Mississippi State's Eric Holman. All right, man. Now, he doesn't even start. He comes off the bench. He grabs 8-10 boards a night. He's not even starting over there. He better start tonight or at least be getting those 28, 30 minutes that he's going to have to be picking up tonight. Because if you don't have an interior presence against Louisville, you're going to be in trouble, even though I guess Louisville's rebounding, they're not exactly all that sound on their rebounding themselves. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. In my opinion, let's see. Fast break opportunities. For me, that leads to fast break opportunities. When you're not getting your offensive rebounds, you're giving the defense a chance to just pick it up and run. And in the NIT, these rules are kind of built for everybody to kind of run around and open up the paint a little bit. They're moving that line to 22 feet and 1.75 inches. It's really nothing. If you look at the old line and the new tape, it's really not that far, and these kids are not intimidated by it. They're not intimidated by it. You can see it. So, here we go. Fast break opportunities all night over there. We're going to talk about that total, because in case you missed it, 144, and I posted it last night on my betting blog that 144 came out on that total, and the line setters, you're guilty! What are you doing, setting a 144 on this total? You're guilty of not knowing what you're doing, Vegas. Sorry, line setters, you blew it. 144 is too low. Take the over. That's what you do. That's why I'm here. All right, man. You talk about that. I want to talk about that shooting percentage for Mississippi State when they shot that 54%. 3 guys really were the only really reason that happened. 3 guys. You look at the whole box score. No one else really had any big of a night than Stapleton, Holman, and Carter. They were 17 for 23. The rest of the team was 11 for 29. Yeah, it's the 3 guys who put up that big performance. If you think they're going to go into Louisville and let those 3 do whatever they want, obviously we talked about Holman tape boards against Baylor. And man, he comes off the bench. He can't come off the bench in this game, I don't think. Louisville knows Holman. Yeah, he's a Kentucky boy. So Holman's going to go in there and be like, Louisville, always wanted to come in here. I'm pretty sure growing up from Kentucky, he probably envisioned either being a Kentucky Wildcat or a Louisville Cardinal. So now he's going to Louisville. Let's see what Mr. Holman has to say about that tonight. I'm sure he's kind of happy. Hey, motivation again, right? You never know what motivates people, man. Going to your hometown is motivation for anybody, whether it's your team or not. We'll see, man. The Birds are exactly, not like I mentioned, not exactly sound on that rebounding edge, but we'll see what happens. The total, over. Okay, let's move on. Getting back to the Penn State Marquette matchup. Penn State has covered 7 of their last 8 road games. Man, Obviously, we have a situation here. We basically need to win to turn that into an 8 of 9 situation because we're only talking about a point and a half here. I guess I always see it's 2.5 points now. That line came out at 1.5 for Marquette. Actually, I looked at it. It was open at Pick'em. Marquette was a Pick'em, and the public has moved that line to 2.5 now. I get it. I'll tell you what. We just saw Marquette and Oregon. They went absolutely bonkers. In case you missed that one. Man, at Marquette's last win to put them in the position to host this game now. And Golden Eagles enjoy their crowd as much as anybody else does. So, yeah, they're not just a mediocre team in this building. Let's talk about, remember they beat Duke here? Remember they stopped that St. John's? Remember when St. John's went on that run right there in the middle when they beat Duke? They beat Nova, then they beat Marquette, they beat DePaul. And then Marquette said, you know what, enough of this. You're St. John's, stop. So Marquette just put an end to that, and then St. John's fell apart like they were supposed to. Where that run came out of St. John's. Luckily, I was on that run, if you remember that. But anyway, yeah, what was St. John's, 14 and 15 this year? Ugly. 16 and 17, something like that? Yeah, bad. Anyway, remember they did beat Duke here. They stopped that crazy run like I'm talking about from St. John's too. And I'll tell you what, Marquette 7-2 in their last 9. And with that crowd, and barely a bucket on the spread here, 2.5. Yeah, you know what? The line setters again. Guilty! You're guilty of giving Marquette that good of an advantage at home. Listen, Penn State's not walking to Marquette tonight and beating them. Sorry. Great season for Penn State, somewhat. Obviously, Tony Carr, number 10. That's my boy over there. Tony Carr's all right. But, I just don't see them being able to walk into Marquette. I think Marquette's going to become the first team to book their ticket to New York City in the NIT semifinals. And, man, you know what? You're going to put that on your board, and I'm going to talk about that because before we move on to the other 2 tournaments going on in the next couple days and here tonight, it looks like I'm going to be at the NIT semifinals of MSG. I'll be coming to you live from MSG for the semifinals of the NIT. I'll be giving out predictions and plays right from the Garden. Why? Because I can. I live an hour away from the Garden, thanks. Yeah, that's where I'll be. All right, CBI. CIT, let's go. Lines are becoming available now. Of course, totals really never come out really until game day. So you're going to have to check my betting blog for that. Of course, tomorrow, NIT quarterfinal games, and I'll do another show for the Final Four. Like I said, for the in New York City here for MSG. Oh my God, it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait for that. All right, so let's bounce over to the CBI. College Basketball Invitational, of course, and semifinals were decided last night. We now know that Campbell and Jacksonville State will take on one part of the semifinals, and San Francisco and North Texas. Boy, wow, that's pretty impressive. I beat them down, and San Francisco, of course, escaped. That was a nice win for them at home. So yeah, I'll have more about that on tomorrow's docket when we get set for tomorrow's games, and because there's no lines out for those games yet, and I really want to talk about those totals, of course, and team totals. But College Insider Tournament has reached the quarterfinals. Of course, 2 games on Wednesday, and Illinois, Chicago. Boy, tough. That's a tough club. They're traveling to Austin Peay, and I'll tell you what. Northern Colorado's going to take on the Toreros, and San Diego. Of course, San Diego got off to that hot start, kind of fell apart late in the season. Kind of thought they might be a tournament team as that season went on. Boy, they just fell apart late. And, man, those lines are still being drawn up. So we'll get more into that as the line setters put them out there. Of course, Sam Houston State will be taking on UT San Antonio on Thursday night. And Central Michigan will be taking on Liberty. Now, that game won't be happening until Saturday. So these games are going to be spread out a little bit as you go forward. And so definitely get ready for those. And I definitely I'll have more tomorrow when we do the college basketball big show for the Sweet 16. We'll talk about the rest of the games for the CBI and the CIT, but I just wanted to get your opening show out here today. Get your 2 plays up for the 2 games tonight, and then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll do it all over again, and we'll talk about the big games on the board. So, yeah. You ready? Are you ready? Court is adjourned. We're out of here. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Ciao.